Joining me now is David Schoen, a former Trump impeachment lawyer, and Gary Shapley, IRS agent, and Hunter Biden whistleblower. Gary, let's start with you. Despite everything that came out and that Hunter admitted to, you think the DOJ still didn't fully investigate him. What makes you say that?
Yeah, that's correct. So, Hunter Biden was singled out, just like President Biden said yesterday in his letter, and that was for preferential treatment. During the entire investigation, the Department of Justice didn't allow us to follow normal investigative processes that would have potentially led to Joe Biden, and some of it did lead to Joe Biden, as the House and the chairman who engaged in the impeachment inquiry found out. And so when we didn't have those powers and authorities to go after and find all that the Biden family did, it really just hid that from the American people, and ultimately they move into they were going to charge in 2022, and then at the end of 2022 they're not going to charge because two Biden-appointed U.S. attorneys became involved and wouldn't allow David Weiss to charge. He requested special charging authority. He wasn't given it. So then we come forward, Joe Ziegler and I, and all of a sudden Department of Justice is trying to cover it up with a sweetheart plea deal, which of course fell apart. And then when he finally thinks that Hunter Biden is going to face his consequences for the crimes that he committed, President Biden comes in and pardons him. So he was singled out, and it was for preferential treatment all
That's
along.
great. That's a great turn of phrase. Now, we're going to get to David Weiss's statement in just a moment, but David Schoen, some experts are saying that this pardon could actually backfire on Joe Biden. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, there are a couple interesting things about it, but I have to say your intro was awesome, and especially when you consider Joe Biden's statement in giving the pardon when he said, "In my entire career, I've always adhered to one simple principle: tell the American people the truth." So anyway, I think that there are at least two elements to this that are very interesting. It could backfire because a broad pardon like this removes the Fifth Amendment right for Hunter Biden, at least with respect to any federal crime. So I would expect you'd see a subpoena potentially from the House or the Senate to inquire about Ukraine activities and all of that sort of thing. Remember, this covers an 11-year period, 10 years and 11 months. But the other part of it is there's a real question whether a broad rather than specific preemptive pardon is valid. Interestingly, Brookings Institution wrote a piece when they suspected President Trump was going to give broad pardons, and they suggested that it's not valid. In the Nixon case, he was given a broad preemptive pardon, but it was never tested in court. So someone could challenge this. There are a lot of implications to this, but remember, the breadth of this pardon is so great that Hunter Biden literally on November 30th could have sold 10 kilos of heroin, and he's given license now, at least for any federal crime, to avoid any prosecution for that. It's any federal crime he committed or may have committed up until December 1st.
Well, that's a fascinating point about the Fifth Amendment, meaning he has to tell us now what really happened, or he legally is bound to, because he doesn't have that constitutional protection. That is very, very important for everybody to remember tonight. And back to David Weiss, the special counsel in this case, he has come out today against Hunter's case being dismissed with prejudice, saying, quote, "The government does not challenge that defendant has been the recipient of an act of mercy, but that does not mean the grand jury's decision to charge him based on a finding of probable cause should be wiped away as if it never occurred." Gary, he seems to be making your point here, but how significant is it tonight that he comes out and makes that bold statement?
Yeah, I just believe this is Department of Justice maneuvering to make it look like, they're still in the game and that they're still pursuing, every avenue against Hunter Biden. But they're hopefully when the new administration comes in and the new Attorney General Bondi comes in, they'll be looking into this, maybe appoint a special counsel to investigate this special counsel, because that's what's needed, because the level of malfeasance that occurred at every level from the Attorney General Merrick Garland to David Weiss to the FBI to IRS leadership is just quite appalling. And that's why I'm very optimistic moving in with this new administration with the Department of Government Efficiency, who, like I said earlier, could literally be born out of my brain.
Yeah, we got to get to the bottom of this. Yeah, we got to get to the bottom of this. And the Ukraine angle we're going to get to later on in the show. But David, to that point, this could be a David Weiss CYA move, too, could it not be?
Absolutely, and he's really saying nothing. The fact is, Article 2, Section 2 gives the president the right to pardon, but not the right to expunge. Expungement is a judicial remedy. So what he said is accurate, but I think Agent Shapley is correct. It's just a CYA sort of maneuvering. And remember, maybe the most offensive thing of all of this is that this wasn't just an innocent victim, Hunter Biden. It might be a pitiful character, but he tried to take down these agents. The team behind him challenged the credibility of the agents, and they sued people over the laptop and so on. He has a fine lawyer in Abby Lowell, and maybe he was smart in putting off the sentence, because theoretically he's not even a convicted felon because there's been no final judgment entered in the case. So anyway, the interesting academic issues surrounding it, but yeah, it just doesn't look good.
Well, Gary, you were brave in stepping forward, you and your colleague, all that time ago, and we appreciate both of you tonight. Thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.